This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks, with an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.
Hello, Krista.
Hey, happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday to you. Hello to everybody in chat. Before we get started with the show, I'm doing something unconventional, and I'll probably get slapped with a copyright strike. May Ozzy rest in peace. You know what, Chris? I could play that whole song, but you know, oh, I got some other jam coming on. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. I got to tell you though, I am like really, really sad about this.
Yeah,
he's like, Prince of Darkness. He's the king of metal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm really sad about this. When I heard about it today, people was texting and just sad, And
yeah,
I'm glad I watched his final performance. I actually watched the stream, and I'm sorry, my dog's wanting to get on here. I watched the Metallica, and I mean, there were some great people that was on that concert for his last one. So
yeah, I did catch him like on YouTube sitting in the chair. I'm sure it was the same concert.
Oh yeah, it was. He was in the chair.
And but it's funny, everybody listening out there. I wasn't on social media at all. I was only on social media briefly to send Heather, who's my guest tonight. Heather Moser is joining us shortly from Smalltown Monsters, producer. We got a great show in store for y'all. And that was the only time I was on social media, right? And I dropped a little short as well, but that was it. And then I seen Krista had R.I.P. Ozzy. I'm like, what are you talking about? Ozzy's gone? Where you been all day, Rob? Yeah, it's been all over everywhere. Yeah, so that's how I found out not a half hour ago.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, JoJo is right. He put on an amazing performance vocally. He really did. Like that performance, he rocked out. He really did.
He did. And really briefly, I saw Ozzy Osbourne only once, and it was a $5 concert where I live.
You're showing your age when you say it was a $5 concert.
Well, it was if they still have them today, though. It's called Monster Fest, right?
Yeah. Well, he had the Ozfest.
And there was Ozfest. This was called Monster because Ozfest was not where I lived, and they do it every year. Like the Styx played there 2 years ago. I mean, all the old people, right? All the old bands. And I was at that, and if there wasn't 5,000 people flooding this outdoor pavilion, it was fantastic, and it was a great time. Yeah. So it's too bad, Ozzy. So I'm probably gonna get a copyright strike for playing that, but oh well,
it's worth it.
I'm gonna lose $3.
Hello. Also, Bigfoot Fidesh says also rest in peace.
I seen that.
Malcolm Jamal Warner from the Cosby Show. Yeah, I saw that yesterday.
I seen that. He was in Belize, I believe.
Yeah.
Somewhere
he drowned. It's awful.
Yeah, he drowned. I guess I didn't read too much into that, but.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get happy and have a happy show.
It's gonna be a happy show. I mean, I'm not sad. I mean, Ozzy, you knew his time was coming eventually.
Oh yeah.
And he had a good life.
He did.
Rock and roll.
Yep.
Rock and roll never dies, as they say.
Yep.
So with that being said, we're gonna bring up Heather Moser.
Hey.
Hello, Heather.
Hi.
How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good. Doing really good. For those of you who have been buried under logs, Heather is one of our featured speakers at our conference.
Yeah.
You know that.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too, Heather. I'm always excited when you come on. I just looked it up. I think this is the third time you've been on my show, and I know you've been on with the Blondes and the Booze a couple, 2-3 times as well. So
not
thank
more.
you for always coming on in and humbling all of us.
Oh, it's a lot of fun to be here. I love you guys.
Yes, we love you.
Yeah, we love you, and we can't wait to meet you in person. September 19th and 20th, everybody. The conference. It's, I mean, I know it's July, what is it, 22nd, something like that?
22nd.
Yeah, so really, oh my Lord, that's July, August, September, 2 months. 2 months away, you guys.
Yeah. And you know what? I actually did meet Heather. We met at Gatlinburg a couple years ago.
That's true.
Yeah, we have the selfies together.
That's true. We have the proof.
We
yeah,
do.
you do. Well, I was just a little bit bummed out because I don't even know how long ago it was.
Yeah.
I wasn't bummed out totally, but I did I shot something with Smalltown Monsters and Sept, and I was talking with Heather. You gonna be there? No, unfortunately, I won't be there. I'll see you at the conference. I'm like, oh, dang it! But that was fun too, Heather. And I guess that was a Bigfoot thing that we did.
And a Dogman thing.
And I guess I'm going to be on the Dogman thing too, eh? So I'm going to be at 2 Smalltown Monsters. Yay.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's going to be sweet.
Smalltown Monsters is the best, honestly. Like, I watch everything that comes out. I know you guys, Sundays especially. Sundays, I don't watch it during the live when you guys first put it out, but my Sunday night go-to when I get ready to go to bed, I lay down in bed and I turn that on. So,
awesome.
Sunday.
And I do want to touch on that a little bit with you, Heather. Before we do, of course, I started the show differently. Don't forget, everybody, you can become a BMR Pirate R, mateys. Join today, join the many, join the few. You get a picture of gold BMR in the chat room, sporting a bandana. Unlike earlier when I was sporting a cowboy hat when I did a short.
I've seen that.
Did you know that somebody says you look stupid? I said, thank you for the algorithm. Whatever, dude,
Nobody's used to seeing you in a cowboy hat.
Yeah, I know. I was having fun. I didn't really care. I want to do a quick short to promote the show. And I said all my bandanas are in the wash, all 125 of them.
You know what? I do have to do a quick shout out, really quick, Rob.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So we teamed up with Hellbent Holler and Paranormal Roundtable, and we did Bigfoot for Bethesda.
Yeah.
And we raised over $5,000. And thanks to people in our chat, the Hellbenders, the paratroopers, everybody came together. And I don't know exactly how many kids were helped, but there's going to be a lot of kids that get to, get out of their bad thing from SA and have something good and positive. So thank you to everybody who donated to that. We all appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great event.
Yeah,
a lot of us in our own way participated, so it was pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. So it was great.
So
awesome.
There was great congratulations to that awesome for a great cause, of course. So Heather, we were talking a little small town monsters and things, and I guess for maybe people that don't know, you work really full time there. Now it's like one of your main jobs as a producer. And I know you worked with them for many years behind the scenes, doing your things, producing still back then as well, writing perhaps, I don't know. So let me ask you, and I know you secure a lot of the guests, you do a lot of great things as producers do. What have you found to be the most challenging? Because that show is popular, and I know it's a lot of work. What's one of the first things what's the most challenging thing you do to make that show happen? Because a lot of people behind the scenes, they don't know. You guys put a lot of work into the shows.
Yeah. Well, it's always a challenge to find people who are willing to talk to us in the first place. As far as, you do have people that have been open about their experiences, but then there's a very large number of people who haven't been public about what they've experienced. And so, talking to people and hoping that they're comfortable enough to share their experience publicly is always a challenge. Trying to find those people in the time confines that we have to get things made is another layer to that. But of course there's many layers to everything because we have to find the time to go film. We have to make sure that the schedule's in place, get the filming done, and then we have editing, and then we have, reviewing the edits, catching any errors, whatever. And then there's sound and color grading and things that I don't even know about because I don't do that part of things. Right. But depending on what the project is, I do get to see several rough cuts of certain projects and have some, give notes or whatever on that. And it takes a lot more time than it seems. It seems like, from the outside, we announce a project and then eventually it comes out and, that's it, it's done. And you might see some behind the scenes things that we do, but it's so many steps that I didn't know prior to being involved in this field. And there's even more steps that I'm not, it's not my job. So I might be slightly aware of them, but everybody's got their own piece to that chain. So
yeah, putting together production, bottom line is putting together a production like that is not 45 or 5 hours. It's months. Right. It's a month-long activity. Yeah,
exactly. Yep. That's why you guys, it takes so long to get these out. I know, like, especially like your Alaska, episodes that, you guys were there, but it takes a long time to get them put out, get them right.
Yeah,
you guys definitely do a fantastic job. You guys are definitely, like I said, I watch all the stuff, all of it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it very much. Yeah, it definitely takes time.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't even know when my episode aired because somebody left me a comment on social media. Hey, Rob, I saw you on, Smalltown Monsters. You did. I said, okay.
I think it was me. I watched it, and I
sent me the link. Send me the link.
I think it was me.
I said, my good friend Heather didn't tell me.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
My bad.
You're bad. You screwed up. Yeah.
I know.
No, you did it. You was fine, Heather. Keep me posted on the Dogman. Keep me posted on the Dogman one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, the Dogman thing will let you, we're going to send you a copy of it as well. So you'll have like a physical copy of Dogman when it's done. But yeah, definitely. That one's easier. That's easier for me to remember to tell people that it's out with the movies than it is with the shows because we're putting out shows very often. And usually they've been filmed weeks before they come out. And so then for me to remember, because I'm always working weeks ahead, it seems like. Right. So for me to remember, like, oh, okay, this episode came out. We filmed that 3 weeks ago. Let me let everybody know. It usually doesn't go well. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm on top of things, but
I
wasn't on that one.
Well, I was just kidding you anyways, so it's not a big deal. And I was kind of surprised. I'm like, oh, cool. And so, I thought it was Krista told me. So, oh my God, I'm on. Oh, okay. So,
yep.
But now you say I'm in a Dogman movie, which I'm really geeked now. So you better, keep me posted on that one. The movie.
Yeah.
BMR. All right. That must be fun. I had a lot of fun and such, and so I had a good time. So thanks for that. So thanks for hooking me up with that. I appreciate you. So,
yeah.
So, before we get into some of maybe your experiences, let me ask you, though, we'll still revert a little bit to what you're doing. Is there anything that you can recall that you've done, and it can be recently or even in the past, and we're going to go back to the little Bigfoot and Dogman because you were said, yeah, it's all fresh in my mind. Let's do something like that. And I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. What are a couple of things that when you were involved with, you didn't have to be, because you're behind the scenes. What are some of the things to you that maybe stood out the most, and where you were like, wow, this is really getting kind of serious here, or creepy, or whatever your thought was?
Well, as far as so when it comes to some of the things that we've filmed where we've been out in the field, a lot of the out in the field stuff that I was a part of was on Sasquatch Unearthed the Ridge. I was there for that, and there were pretty much everybody on the crew. I would say everyone. I can't think of someone who didn't. We actually got a chance to see the spook lights, ghost lights, whatever you want to call them.
Mhm.
We were able to capture some on camera. That is on YouTube. You can find that. There was no really unnerving point during that though. So when it's out in the field, as far as filming stuff, for me, I haven't really had any unnerving experiences that way. The only way that, I mean, we've done interviews where people get emotional as they're recounting their
Mhm.
stories. And those always hit me a little harder because you can tell that clearly this left a traumatic impact on them and it's still affecting them to this day. And especially when people are recounting something that happened decades ago
Mhm.
and you just see that it's something that will never go away. Those ones stick with me. But as far as being like really unnerved, I honestly can't think of a time that I've been like scared.
You've
Um,
never been scared in the woods on location, right?
Not while we're filming, no. Well, actually, no. I take that back. Because thinking back now, when we filmed the Bigfoot project, which we did film on this property, it's got to be in the first episode. Seth was out here with me. The kids were in the hunting cabin, and my husband stayed back with the kids at the hunting cabin. And Seth and I walked down the one path in the woods, and we could hear creatures running around us, throwing rocks at us, getting very close. And it was about the time the rock hit near our feet that I got unnerved. I would say that's the time. I always forget about that because that seems like a unique situation of filming.
Mhm.
But I would say I was unnerved there, and that was at home. So, but as far as like being out on location somewhere, I can't think of a time that I've really been scared. Because even when we went to Alaska, a lot of the stuff that was out in the field was Alexander and Eli, not us. We were doing the interview portions of things, so we were safe in a house somewhere.
I tell you what, though, it is creepy being out in the middle of the woods. And I've had that feeling of being surrounded. That happened to Brandy and I when we were down in Falk. We were with Will Lunsford, and that happened to us. And so I get that. You could hear it all around you, and we'd shine a light, but we didn't see anything. And like there wasn't even like a squirrel, a deer, nothing native.
Yeah.
It was just it was pretty crazy weird. So I get what you're saying there.
Yeah, during that time, Seth and I could hear, it sounded like there had to have been at least two, because you would hear the running in front of us and then immediately behind us. So either it was like ridiculously fast or there were two of them running around. But while that was happening to us, back at the cabin, something was running up to the cabin and throwing things at the cabin, because my husband heard that. He yelled out for us, and then that's when he realized how far away we actually were, because we didn't hear him yell.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm glad he stayed back with the kids anyway. They were completely oblivious to it. They were in the cabin watching on like their little tablet or whatever. But
Right.
I think that might have also been what kind of drew some of the curiosity too. The kids had been out playing a lot, and normally there aren't children back there. So
they were curious.
Anyway.
Yeah. Do you mind me asking if you guys carry while you're out in the woods?
It depends on who's with us. I don't. So some people on the crew do. It just depends who's there.
Yeah. I just don't recommend anybody. I don't care where you're at. There's native animals that will eat you,
Yeah.
Yeah. We always carry.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Like when you go through and you do these films or even interviews, like, okay, I was on, okay, not talking about me, but anybody else, do you have everybody come to a location and interview them? I mean, how does one's interview get granted, or they get determined to be on the show? It just depends on how interesting it is, or is it just a feeling you get? Or because I'm sure that many people you had to say no to, right? And say, well, we can't use it in this episode. Or do you kind of know that prior to calling up somebody?
So sometimes it depends. It depends on what project it is. Some of the projects, I try to almost overload the schedule, so I know that we end up having, at the very least, enough for the film. And at the most, we may have too much, and then that stuff that we can't use or doesn't fit storyline wise then can get used in something else. So that happens on occasion. It's rare, but it does happen sometimes. So we do have instances of that where what was intended for one project just didn't fit thematically. Like if we have, say, a Dogman movie and we had a bunch of interviews and then everybody seems to follow a particular thread except a couple, then those people probably won't be in the final product. They'll be in something else later down the line just because it didn't work story-wise. As far as like finding people, usually what happens is I reach out to them, or I mean, there are occasions where people have reached out to us, but it's a mix of me reaching out to them, hearing from another researcher, like, hey, we got this report and it's pretty viable, pretty interesting. You might want to check it out.
Right.
But it's really a lot of digging to find people that have stories that might be willing to talk. And of course, there's, it's always cool when you can find people that it's one of their first times sharing their story too. That's always cool when that happens. But yeah, it also depends on, like I said, what we're looking into, because some of our stuff can be very, very specific. And so I'm trying to think of, like, for example, when we're doing our Sasquatch Unearthed series right now, in the past, like Buckeye Bigfoot and stuff, each episode had a particular theme. And so like for Buckeye Bigfoot, there was a white Bigfoot episode. So we tried to find someone who had a white Bigfoot encounter to fit the theme, rather than just throwing in any old Bigfoot encounter,
Right. Crossing the road, hey.
Yeah. Tried to find stuff that fit thematically, but then, sometimes we do have the projects where it's a broader net that we can cast. So it just depends.
And I just want to ask you a little behind the scenes. Some people in chat were like, "Oh, this is cool. How does it come together?" And I'm interested in that. I think we all are in this field, and being in media. I mean, I'm interested how to put together a short film or what you guys do. It's very interesting. And I will just say this: it's not a part-time job. It is full-time work. It's not. It's not a hobby. It's not.
No.
It's a full-time gig. And I asked you the question earlier, and I kind of stored it in my head as the show went on, about what kind of things that maybe set you off a little bit, or you got kind of scared about during the filming of your shows. Then you had just said today, well, nothing really during the filming, which alludes me to the next question. Something in your personal life outside of SMT must have happened.
Yeah. Well, the precursor to the Bigfoot project even coming to be were some unnerving things that happened on this property. So before cameras were even here, I mean, there was a reason I even said something to Seth and like, something's going on. You need to come out with cameras. And that would have been shortly after we moved in here, and Lady Ann actually came out to visit. We'd only been here a week or so, and we'd gone out and done some investigating, like paranormal investigating, and we were in the woods, and she was unnerved about that. She didn't really explain anything at the time. She just said she didn't feel comfortable. She's like, can we go out in the field and do this? And we got out in the field, and I was like, well, a big open field doesn't really feel like a ghost investigation to me. This is like Bigfoot investigation type stuff. So I pulled my phone out and I played the Ohio Howl. And when I played it, it was just on my phone. So it was just as loud as I could, like cup around my phone.
Right.
But we got a return howl.
Wow.
And that was the first indicator that something is off. But by the end of that night, what had happened was is we'd heard multiple howls, we heard whistles. When we tried to go back into the woods, it sounded like an entire tree had been pulled down, like a small tree broken and snapped. And that was unnerving. It got to a point where Lady Ann demanded to go back to the house.
Mhm.
So we went back and dropped her off. And then I was geeking out. Like, I was super excited about it. I got a Bluetooth speaker and I'm like, let's just pump this howl louder and see if more things can happen. And I got back in the gator because that's what we had at the time. And my husband came out, and then our friend Travis was also with us. So she stayed back at the house with the kids. We went back out. That's whenever the tree ended up being pulled down.
Wow.
And then that's when the tree got pulled down is when we're like, all right, we should probably go back. But I was excited about all of that, but also unnerved. What she said later was that the reason she wanted to go out of the woods is that while we were setting up all of our equipment and stuff on the ground, Travis and I are putting things, laying stuff out, and she's got a flashlight because I don't know if she heard something or she just felt off, but she turns the flashlight on. She's like moving it around, and she said she saw something peek from behind a tree.
Wow.
And that's when she said, I don't want to be in the woods. We need to get out. But she said she didn't say anything because she thought that I would like tease her or something. And I'm like, I mean, maybe I would have, but probably not. But she didn't tell me that until later, that's why she wanted to get out. She just insisted that she didn't feel right. And
for those of you that don't know, which that cracks me up because her fiance is Ken Gerhard. He's
right. Yeah.
Woods all the time. So yeah. Ann's great too. She is.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so that was an interesting thing, and that got the Bigfoot project going then, because more stuff happened after that, and that's when I was like, Seth, you got to come out and see what's going on. And he's like, okay, I'll bring a camera, and then that was the beginning of the Bigfoot project. But other stuff that's happened, like, I mean, it's a lot of it has been here and not when we've had the cameras. Like, things went pretty quiet after we wrapped up.
Here, you're talking about where you live currently?
Where I live, yeah. So Minerva, Ohio area, Minerva Monster territory. Yeah. And stuff pretty much died down when we wrapped up the Bigfoot project, which is why we wrapped up the Bigfoot project. Things got pretty quiet. And then like oil and gas came in and they'd cut a bunch of trees down and stuff, and things went really quiet. But then stuff started back up a few months back, and that got unnerving because when the activity kicked back up, it was closer to the house.
Oh, wow.
And that I did not like. It's one thing, like we have the hunting cabin on the other side of the property, but that's a good ways away. That's
how much land do you have there?
About 300 acres.
Gotcha. Okay. It was good. Good chunk then.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, really quick. The cabin, is that yours, or is that like the group's, or is that Seth's place? Is that the cabin?
No, it's mine. It's my husband and I's the family property.
Okay.
The whole family uses it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's on this farm. So
quick question. You said, it's your family's property. Have they had any reports from like years ago or anything like that of any of that?
It's funny because no, not really. When my husband was growing up, he grew up on this farm.
Okay.
And he grew up terrified of Bigfoot because they let him watch the Boggy Creek Monster when it came out. Yeah. And so he was positive that Bigfoot was going to like reach through a window and snatch him out or whatever. And his dad apparently would like send the boys down to the barn to like check on the cows late at night and stuff, and then run up over the hill and run down at him like he was Bigfoot, tell him he was like roar at them and stuff. So he grew up with a fear of it. And the Minerva Monster incident was happening just a few miles away, but he wasn't aware of it at the time.
Gotcha.
But as far as family having encounters or anything, we don't, as far as we know, they didn't. Now, recently, his mom, who lives a few miles away now, but not very far at all, she had a sighting several years ago on her farm, which is very close.
Mhm.
So, like, she had a visual sighting. So they've seen them recently, but not as the, in the decades prior.
Gotcha. Okay. I just find that interesting, like especially you're on family property and,
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit, because I'd like to know a little bit. I know a little bit about it, maybe not our audience, but the Minerva monster, is that related to the Ohio Howl? Is that something unrelated? That's a alleged Bigfoot creature.
So the Minerva monster was in 1978. There was a series of sightings. Oh, there she is.
Yeah. Hello, Ann.
Hello, Ann. We were just talking about you.
We were talking about the ears were burning, Ann.
So when the Minerva monster sighting, there were a series of encounters that had happened in 1978, right outside of Minerva with the Caton family. And that's where the Minerva monster name came from. The Ohio Howl, and that's technically, I think, because Minerva's technically divided between like 3 counties, but I think they were on the Stark County side.
Mm-hmm.
The Ohio Howl, Matt Moneymaker recorded in Columbiana County in the 90s, I think.
Okay.
So they're probably 2 different creatures, but the idea is the same. They're both Bigfoot related. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Interesting. When you talked about, playing the Ohio Howls, we have, been out in the woods and we played like the Sierra Sounds and things like that too. So,
oh, I hate that. I hate the Sierras.
Well, Brandy's like, we could be, propositioning them or threatening them or, something.
Yeah, you don't know what you're offering.
Right. So we haven't done it in a little while. So, yeah.
I know we talk a lot, and you guys do on the show a lot of Bigfoot. We know that. Anything in your area too regarding with your personal experiences? Anything do you think, Heather, along the Dogman line in your area or wherever you've traveled throughout your, stay on this planet?
Well, not directly around here. Can I think of a story that I've heard, like in my immediate area, that's Dogman related? That I know the Youngstown area is where Matt Emsch said he had his sighting. That's not that far away from here, but it's not like super close either. It's within an hour, I guess, 45 minutes. But I think we did a whole trip to Texas to do the Dogman Triangle in Texas. Right. So we talked to a bunch of witnesses there that had sightings, and they seem pretty legit. But obviously LBL would be the one that's thickest with reports, I think, as far as the people coming forward. Of course, we just did Michigan too, so it's not like there's a shortage of reports in Michigan either. It's just
there's no reports in Michigan.
But like, I don't know, LBL is the one it stands out in my mind the most, I think. As far as the places that I've been that seem like, oh yeah, something could definitely live here. But I wasn't on the Dogman shoot either, as you know. So I didn't see all of the places in Michigan. I've seen photos and videos and stuff that make it seem like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see something could live there. Yeah. But the places that I've personally been in Michigan haven't been overly isolated. I have been up there since then, but like we just did a special on the Monroe monster, which comes out next week, I believe. And but that was in Monroe, and Monroe is a town, so it's not like we were out in the middle of Manistee or something.
Right. Gotcha.
Yes, Manistee, Wexford. Well, we discussed it ad nauseum prior to several months ago. Yeah, it's pretty eerie, and the Manistee National Forest is, it's haunted as well. A lot of hexes, a lot of curses from First Nations, and it's just if you like cryptids, Ohio, Michigan, really the Midwest. I mean, people always think about the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, that's, of course, Bigfoot, but where we live, and Krista, Missouri.
Mhm.
You got Dogman Road.
I think a lot of our states are underestimated.
Yeah,
you
they
know,
are
that-
for these cryptids.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that.
And you know,
Mhm.
and I think we have a plethora, however you say it. I always screw it up. All over the Midwest, we've got just as much Dogman as Bigfoot. The thing about it is, Heather, the Bigfoot gets reported like a lot. A lot of people don't report when they have a Dogman encounter because a lot of times they're just too dang scared. And they think, and even though Bigfoot, you can say that you saw a alleged Bigfoot and you
Mhm.
get that weird look.
Mhm.
Now you say bipedal painted, you're like off your rocker, man. You know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
that's why there's not nearly the amount of reports.
Well, when
You know-
when I first heard of a dog man, I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? Like, that can't be true.
Yeah. Yeah. I've definitely come across that where,
Mhm.
and I think that, like when Finding Bigfoot came out and then got popular, I think that helped a significant amount of people
Sure.
dealing with coming forward, and it destigmatized things to a certain extent. Not that you still don't get people looking at you cross-eyed when you say you saw Bigfoot, because that still happens, but it is more socially acceptable because of popular culture making it more of a thing. Where Dogman, you're right, it's still a little iffy, although I feel like the more we talk about it, the better it gets.
No, yeah. Right.
So I mean, I don't know. I just spoke at Hillview Manor over the weekend, and I talked a lot about Bigfoot and Dogman in the area of like Ohio, West Virginia, and PA, and the tri-state area, and emphasized at the end of the speech that even if you're unwilling to come forward for whatever your reason may be, please just write it down.
Mhm.
Write down your experience so it doesn't get lost. And I also emphasize that if anybody, not that there was like a huge crowd or anything, but like anyone in the audience or whatever, if they wanted to tell their story, if they had one and wanted to tell me a story, I'm probably not going to be like, wow, that's insane. Because I've heard a lot of stuff.
Yep.
And I'm like, my threshold for weird is very high.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I can probably almost I could almost guarantee you that whatever you've experienced, I've probably heard someone else having a similar story. And if nothing else, I think that helps people when they do finally come forward and they hear, oh yeah, well, I heard someone who, I talked to somebody in Michigan who had a Dogman encounter very similar to yours. And I'm like, really? And then all of a sudden you're not alone. So, and that's happened even when we've done like, although we don't do it as often, but in the past when we've done like UFO things, I can think of when we were out in Colorado filming on the Trail of UFOs Night Visitors. We had interviewed a witness one night, like the first night we got there, who had an encounter. He had never come forward publicly. I only found him because I happened to reach out to his like ex mother-in-law, and just because I had this feeling based on her line of work that maybe she'd come across someone who had encountered something. And she's
Right.
like, actually, yeah, my ex-son-in-law, but he probably won't talk. I'll reach out to him though. And anyway, he was willing to come forward, scared out of his mind, but
Wow.
did.
Mhm.
And the next morning we talked to Katie Page, who
She's
works
great.
with MUFON out in Colorado. Yeah, she's wonderful. We talked with Katie Page, and when she recounted her experience, it was so similar to his
Mhm.
that I messaged him immediately, like in the middle of the interview. I'm texting him going, I just want you to know that I heard someone who's had an identical experience. And that was, I mean, that's a big deal.
You make a great point because Krista, you probably are similar because as an example, this with me and Krista alone, this show we've been doing. We've had how many shows we got now? About 100. We have over 100 together on this show.
Oh, a bunch. We've been doing it for what, 3 years now?
Almost going on 3 years. This one show on Tuesday, and I've got them. We've got shows every day or every.
Well, I
quite
started
often.
on your afternoon show, and then
She was on your afternoon show. I've probably talked to 300. I've probably done 300 shows since I started.
Mhm.
And you bring up a point. Sometimes I feel bad because I noticed, and the person never said anything, But if they had a really crazy and bizarre encounter, it doesn't matter what it was. Could have been a ghost or a Bigfoot or whatever. And I don't get that shock value today anymore because, like you said, Heather, I've heard a lot of things that are just as odd, right?
Yeah.
Now, I appreciate the story. I love when people tell us a story. You know, it's more for the audience. Me, I take it in. It's like, yeah, I kind of heard that, but I'm not going to say that live, right? I'm like, yeah, well, you know.
Yeah.
So I can see that, and it's weird. You do it long enough, we've heard a lot of weird stuff.
And our thing is too that we never say, you know, we don't believe you or people are full of it. We weren't there. You know, we weren't there.
Yeah.
I have seen some crazy things. People be like, yeah, right. But I've seen it.
Yeah. You know, that's what we. Yes, great point, Chris. We always say we don't walk in your shoes. We don't judge anybody. I don't care if you told me that you saw a dog man, he bit your mom and she turned into the moon and then she floated down the Detroit River. Oh, wow. Really? Wow. Great.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to, you know, I'll roll with it, you know. But there have been bizarre accounts, you know. Safe place this channel and all of our affiliates. So, yeah. So if you have a story, tell it. We want to hear it.
Absolutely.
The audience wants to hear it. Then they can judge, you know, one way or the other. Let me ask you, going back a little further, what got you all started? What was your fascination? Obviously, you're into monsters and spooky stuff and ghosts. We know that you love the Bell Witch. We've talked about that twice already on this show.
Yeah.
But I don't know if people remember, and I maybe don't remember. How did you first get started? I said, man, you had this attraction for weird stuff.
So I think probably the earliest memory for me of being interested in the weird stuff would have been watching Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack hosting, and watching it. Whatever, I can't remember. I was little when we started watching it, so I don't remember like the day that it came out or whatever. But you know, at that point in time, you had to watch it when it aired. It wasn't, or you're not catching a rerun until summer or something. So we would watch it whatever day that it came out. I, at the time, had the phone number memorized and everything like that. And it was one of those situations where I was really fascinated by it, but I was also terrified by it. But apparently not terrified enough to not watch it. So I became fascinated with stuff that way. I remember being afraid of the Yeti at that point in time, not because of the Yeti as a whole thing, but they talked about, I'm not going to remember the official name right now, but the mummified hand, they say is a Yeti's. They showed that. And I specifically remember laying awake in my bed. Of course I had a nightlight because I was little, and nightlights, even though they create shadows and stuff, and I think make things worse, but I had the nightlight on and I just stared at my bedroom door, waiting to see that hand reach the doorknob, to like slam my door shut or something. So, just morbidly fascinated by it. And also, growing up, my mom had told me about living in a haunted farmhouse when she was a kid. And so when it came to like ghosts, it wasn't a question if they existed. It just kind of was, you know, they exist. And growing up where I grew up, I mean, even in elementary school, there was a kid in my grade whose family had a Bigfoot encounter. And although I do remember them being ridiculed pretty heavily in school, I didn't like doubt that they saw anything. They just lived up the road from me. It was just, that was another thing. Like, oh yeah, it exists. It's not a, you know, you don't question it. So I think I was just raised into it to a certain degree. Raised on Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street, things like that. Yeah. So I think I was just kind of, I don't want to say born into it, because my parents aren't like cute. I mean, they watch the Bigfoot stuff constantly because they're telling me they watch, what is that, Expedition Bigfoot or whatever. Yeah. They watch that and then will let me know, hey, there was a new episode out, because I don't have regular TV. And I'm like, okay. They're like, we recorded it for you. I'm like, okay. All right, I will watch it maybe sometime when I get when I come visit.
When you get a chance,
yeah, when I get a chance to come out and just watch a show instead of visiting, I'll watch it. But
right,
I don't know.
It's funny you say that, Heather, because me and Krista are the same way, and pretty much all of us in our little friend group or YouTube group, none of us really watch TV. I'm either doing stuff like this, researching stuff, or watching documentaries.
YouTube, honestly,
That's what I do. That's
yeah, I have been ridiculed a little bit for this at home, where I'm like, somebody will say, "Hey, let's watch a movie." I'm like, I don't have time for a movie, but yet I will watch shorts, like Instagram shorts for an hour or whatever, YouTube shorts, things like that. And they're like, you just spent an hour on your phone watching 30-second clips. And I'm like, yeah, okay, but it's different than committing, because each time I scroll, I'm committing to just 30 seconds at a time. I'm not sitting down and committing to 2 hours in one shot.
I'm with you.
But when it comes to like, unless I'm in research mode, I don't really get to watch stuff related to this field specifically that isn't ours, because a lot of like I said, when I'll get sent cuts of different things that I have to watch, so I do have to commit to watching a rough cut of something, so that'll be like my hour of watching something for the day. And then when I sit down to just zone out, I'm not gonna turn on Paranormal. A Bigfoot documentary or whatever. I mean, sometimes I do. I actually watched I don't get a lot of paranormal stuff right now with what we do, so I do watch some more of the paranormal things. Like I watched something that was on Netflix just the other day that came across my feed. It was like The Devil on Trial or something. So I did watch that documentary
about Arnie.
Yeah. Yes, that one. The Glatzels or whatever.
Yep.
Yes, I watched that one, and I actually sat all the way through it, which is rare.
Yeah. It was good. It's good. I watched that too. Yeah. I got a question for you about like Dogman and things like that. You hear about, missing people, or, you hear a dog attacked, a person. How much of those do you think that could actually be like the cryptids? Because you hear that, like, for instance, in Missouri here, we had an Amazon driver that was unalived by dogs. Okay. It was an English Mastiff and a German Shepherd. And I have an English Mastiff, 200-pound dog, and they are gentle giants. And I think they said that the German Shepherd was friendly as well. The owners were away, but they had a doggy door, and there was somebody coming over and feeding the dogs. So it's not like they were going hungry or anything like that. So they blamed it on the dogs, that the dogs attacked this Amazon driver. And a friend of mine knows the guy at the funeral home, and he said that he'd never seen no dog attack like that. Like it was morbid. And so they never released the Amazon driver's name, which is weird to me, Yeah. And I went by there. I went by that area, and it's actually over by the museum and where the conference is going to be. And I can take you there that weekend if you'd like to see it. But where all that happened, it's just I don't know. I don't think it was these dogs. I don't, because when the police went in the house, they broke in the house and they said the dogs were going crazy. There was no blood on the dogs. So if that guy was that mangled, you'd think there would be blood all over them dogs, They ended up shooting and killing the dogs, which I think is terrible, because the dogs were just protecting their own home. But, and they never did check to see like the dog's insides to see if there was, any human. So I think there's a lot of like those instances out there that I personally, honestly, I think a Dogman got that Amazon driver. That is my personal opinion, just because, 20 miles from there was a Dogman sighting too, so, I think honestly, a lot of dogs get the raw end of the stick. What are your thoughts on that?
It's, I don't know. It's possible. I just keep thinking of, there are so many stories, unfortunately, of dogs killing people or children, even worse, even family dogs, things turning and it going sideways, and that's horrible. But as far as like, I don't know what this location is like, but it doesn't really matter either, because we've come across Dogman stories where they are in like a town, a city. It's not like they're isolated out in the woods. So it's not as if these creatures can't be there.
Sure.
It is weird that they didn't release the driver's name or anything like that, but I don't know. It's hard to say because it seems like every other day I see a story of somebody being mauled or
Right.
people on a walk and a pack of dogs come up or something like that. And it would be hard to, I guess, determine how the dogs would act if their owners weren't home and somebody came around, of course, trying to protect their home. But
Right.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
I just feel like something, the funeral director is saying that he's never seen a dog attack.
Yeah,
like
that is weird.
Or he's ever seen, and yet these dogs didn't have any blood on them.
Yeah, that's very
If it was
odd.
that bad, both of these dogs would have been covered,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
something, I think there's a cover up there, and it's just my personal opinion. But it's right close to where our conference is going to be too, like within 8 miles.
Wow.
Yeah. I can't wait. I'm glad I'm going to be spending some time out there because there's a lot of this place has got everything, right? The Dogman, Bigfoot, paranormal stuff. I mean, it's the whole area is kind of got all the things that we're into, right?
Yep.
And I do love dogs, and this is a weird thing because I might have mentioned this before once or twice, Krista. Well, you know that I have a lot of feral cats. I mean, they're wild cats, and they are literally hunters. I mean, they eat birds. I mean, I've seen them fight squirrels, and they're kind of ferocious little critters, right? But they're kind of so pretty, they're cool, and they don't do anything to the home, but they roam because where I live, there's the creek and the wood line surrounds the entire area I live, and there's a bunch of things go on. I mean, nothing crazy, not Bigfoot or Dogman, but what we do have, and I love dogs. But there's this section of the creek. It's about maybe a quarter mile from my house, and I'll typically walk to my buddy's house who lives in that area. And there was this one night we have packs of wild dogs too, and they are. I don't know what their breed is. They kind of look like German Shepherds a little bit. They're a combination of whatever, right?
Right.
But they are. I will tell you, they're pretty scary. They're not like, your neighbor's mean German Shepherd that growls at the neighbors, right, and barks all day long. These will literally chase you down and try to harm you. In fact, they hang out at the creek. Now, I haven't seen them this summer, thankfully, because they're scary, especially at night. And I've seen a pack of 3 or 4. They're down at the creek, and they're just howling and moaning. I mean, it kind of reminded me, and I know they weren't dogmen, but it was just, or wolves even, right? Or coyotes. I'm like, oh, here's those darn dogs. And I'm walking past my buddy's house, another couple blocks away. And I got to my friend's house. He goes, man, did you hear the dogs? See the dogs? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, man, you're lucky because a couple of them got in his neighbor's yard, and they were just ripping his house to shreds. They were ripping the backyard up. They chased this one dog underneath a deck. They tried to get him, and they've been responsible for a lot of people's little pets getting unalived, right? And it's like, we call the city, you call the dog catcher, I guess you call them. I don't know what you call them anymore. Ordinance people. Nothing they can do, and they're scared to see them. So the only reason I bring this up is because you think that sometimes we always talk about misidentification. Do you think in some instances, like with Dogman, that maybe they could be construed as a dogman when really it's kind of like the bunch of wild dogs that I got running about my neighborhood?
Yeah, I think it's possible. Yeah, I've heard, I mean, it hasn't been lately, but I have heard there were, at one point on this property, there was at least one pack of wild dogs, and you couldn't go out without some sort of protection because of that. But so I think it's entirely possible. I mean,
sure.
Yeah, I don't know. There's all kinds of things that it could be. I don't know. It is weird, like Krista was saying, some of the aspects. don't seem to line up, but it definitely
I
it
guess
could be any of those things.
I know, and I guess the root of my question really is this, because we do this every day, all the time. You certainly do, Heather. Talk to many people, and for me, it's very tough to differentiate. And it's hard for me to, I mean, in a roundabout way, tell the person I'm talking with or whatever, trying to ask them if maybe it was something misidentified without, calling them out on because I'm having my doubts, right? So I'm just wondering because like a lot of people, you always hear this, which I don't buy this. I don't think a bear can be misidentified as a Bigfoot, especially one that's walking 10, 15, 20 yards, stealthy,
Right.
across a meadow. Bears, can they walk? Absolutely. Do they walk like they're drunk off their butt? Absolutely. A Bigfoot is stealthy, right?
I had a
So,
discussion with somebody today about bear versus Bigfoot. So yeah.
oh, you did? Okay. Well, I can hear a little bit of that. So yeah, for me, it's always a fine line because I believe what people tell me, and I believe people are seeing things out there. That's the hardest thing in doing this job, if you will, is try to figure out, was it really what they're saying, or was it a wild pack of dogs? Was it, a bear for like 10 feet walking? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that when it comes to certain, I mean, all we can do is ask them what their experience was, right? And then and do so without leading questions. Just like, tell me your experience the best you can.
Sure.
And then after they relay the experience, then maybe ask for more detail in some way, but not in a leading way either. Like, oh yeah, so you definitely saw red glowing eyes, right? Or something like that. Just say, well, did you see eye color? Things like that. And then maybe from there you can get a better idea of if it was something like potentially misidentification or not. But from what I've found, the people that we've talked to or reached out to, a lot of the times, when they start to go into these details, it just seems so weird to have been, like you said, a bear walking for that far, or running across a road on two legs, or things like that, where I'm thinking of like the one gentleman that we interviewed in Michigan, Jay, talked about seeing one that I can only assume would be an older type Bigfoot just by the way he described it. But the details that he had, he was just standing on the side of the road, but the details that he has and how it was thinner, it was tall, it was thinner. It wasn't like a bodybuilder type situation, very thick, muscular, nothing like that. It was thinner. And he describes the fur was kind of aged looking, gray looking, and the wind blowing through the fur. Like, there's just certain details that people come up with sometimes that it's like, I don't know how you'd come up with that detail if you hadn't seen something, but also I don't see how that would have been a bear, or just a large dog, or I don't know, whatever they want to say, or just a crane for people that are like, oh yeah, I've had a Mothman type experience or whatever. They may not even call it Mothman, but they describe something it's more than a regular bird. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's the Mothman. It's more than a regular bird. Yeah, I got that. I understand you there. And you've done a lot of, since you've been doing this, you get the stories that come in all the time. Well, let me ask you this take, because, okay, I've got a variety of different people I've spoken with, had on the show, talk about Dogman, nothing more than an upright canid German Shepherd, hawk legs, very thin body, oversized head, walks about somewhat awkwardly. And then you got the people that describe it as, the werewolf from American Werewolf in London, right? It's just a menacing mess, right? That's, when you see it, you feel nothing but dread. I'm sure you've come across a lot of people with those different variations. And what's your take on that? Do you think there's a different variety of these creatures when we're talking specifically Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolf? Not Bigfoot.
I mean, well, like, I think there must be with some of these things. I wonder if there's not different ways that this leads more toward the weird stuff, but the way things manifest.
Right.
The way things manifest differently, because some people, like you mentioned, for the Dogman, the German Shepherd type thing or whatever, but then you have the people that saw like an Anubis type thing.
Right.
When it comes to werewolf stuff, I've even heard, and this is rare, but I've heard the stories where they have like clothing still on them, as if they had actively transformed like a normal werewolf or whatever, instead of like a Dogman. So I wonder sometimes if these things don't present differently based on, I don't know, a number of factors. I don't even understand. I mean, I can't even pretend to understand it. But it's one of the reasons that I tend to lean toward more of a metaphysical type or interdimensional type thing, where it's not just a purely flesh and blood type creature, because there are such varying things to it, not to mention based on what we know currently, like zoologically, how some of these things just really shouldn't exist based on what we know. But I don't know. I have no idea. That's the long way to say I don't know.
No, I know we don't. I like to ask that because I've heard them all. It's funny you mentioned the clothing thing. And all that holler says it looks like there's something. You're seeing something manifest in the room. You kept looking over to your left, I think it was.
Yeah, I was hearing somebody in the other room. That's what threw me off.
A human being?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was the kids, actually. I was just
rat.
Let's hope it was.
You talk about the clothing thing, and we haven't talked about this, and I think a lot of the 411 might apply to some of these cryptids outside of humans and other things. Really quick story. I was talking to this person that they were on an expedition, but I would say more of a hiking adventure. None of these people were cryptid people, and they were in a. Thanks, Larry. They were in a hike, and and of course, I always say this though. Number one, if I'm hiking with a group of people, I like to everybody walk. If the trail's wide enough, walk abreast. If you're gonna walk in single file, at least be side by side. This is a group of 12 people. They're all single file. I said the guy on the end always gets it. Hey, or maybe the first person that turns that bend. So this took place, I think it was in 1984. I have the records written down. I'm just doing this from memory. And they were telling me this story about they're walking through this trail. Yeah, I'm not sure of where it was. I think it was somewhere in Pennsylvania, and this dog-like werewolf-looking creature jumped in the front of the path in their trail and looked at them, and it was standing on two legs, and it roared, and screamed at them, and boom, was gone. 5 seconds, however long it was, and everybody was petrified, and they all kind of scattered off the trail, hiding or whatever. And then all of a sudden, there was a group of 12. I remember this distinctly. When they all reconvened, there was 11 people left.
Oh no!
Yeah, the other person was not accounted for. They could not find them.
Wow!
And they were calling out his name. In fact, they got so scared they called in to whoever they radioed into. We have a missing person in our party. This is serious. We've been in the woods looking for this guy or girl, whoever it was. I think it was a guy. 40 minutes, nothing, not a clue. We can't find this person. So they went out that night, didn't do a lot during the night. Next morning, they're looking, and about 3 miles up the path on this trail, they didn't find the person, but they found his clothes, Heather, neatly stacked off on a rock down by the river.
That's
neatly
weird.
stacked, neatly folded. And looking back, when I used to listen, I don't listen anymore really to this one person. We all know who it is, and whatever. I hear a lot of stories about the missing 411 where people's clothing are found miles away, folded neatly. And the reason I bring this up is, in your experiences with your shows, have you come across anything kind of odd like that, where a person has vanished and maybe not folded clothes, like I described. We found some remnants of the person a few miles from where they had an alleged sighting of one of these cryptids.
Well, all of this just brings me back to we recently got back from Vermont, where we were filming a handful of things. But one thing was the movie that's going to cover the Bennington Triangle.
I was going to say Bennington's Triangle. Yes, very odd. Very
So
strange, got everything.
Yeah, people missing there is pretty much what sparked the whole term Bennington Triangle. Was a series of missing people, and there was one person that went missing and then was found later, and it was kind of odd where they found her body, but it wasn't a situation where like clothes were neatly stacked or anything like that. I can think of, not work related, but my great uncle went missing back in the 50s, I believe, is when it was. So obviously I never got to meet him. I've only heard the story through family and found old newspaper articles and stuff. But he was up hunting in Canada, went with two other guys. There were three of them, and they did not return home when they should have. So immediately a search begins by local authorities, but also the wives that were missing, their husbands had sent people up or contacted people up there and had sent people looking for them. Of the three, they found one body, but they found like their campsite where they found their like cigarettes, their lighter, like stuff that they shouldn't have gone off without kind of scenario. But they found the body of one, and it was not it wasn't a good situation that they found him either. But my uncle was never found anyway. But they did find a camera, and then were able to get film developed. And you can see they're posing with like the deer that they shot or elk or whatever. I can't remember now. I've seen the pictures, but and then there were a couple weird pictures that you're like, why did they even bother taking that? But I don't know. It's just with missing people in general, the whole thing just freaks me out. Because even like the neatly folded clothes things that really freaks me out. But it also, and being out in the woods and missing, obviously that, that's terrifying. But the ones that also scare me are the stories that I've heard of, like a woman taking her trash to the end of her driveway, and it's like just the end of her driveway, and then she's gone. They never find her again, like that kind of stuff. And there's so many things that could go wrong. Especially when you're out in the woods. Like, we were in Vermont. It's not like I spent an extensive time in the woods while we were there. It was a short trip or whatever, but there are a million places that you could go off trail. You could get lost. You could fall in an old well because there are abandoned buildings and things. But then also there are animals, there are people. I feel like that's the biggest thing to fear, other people.
I would agree.
Yeah, I don't know. It's draining for me when I start to look into missing people.
Yeah. You mentioned
extremely draining.
You mentioned the folded clothes, and I had a paranormal experience, but it was definitely ghost on the ghost side of things. That I had a horse that was in a round pen. She was getting broke to ride, and so she had on. We went in for lunch, and my husband, he had left a bridle on her, and tied her up on the side of the fence post. And we ran in to eat. My daughter looks out the bathroom window, and the horse is no bridle, and she's running around the pen. We went outside, and the bridle was neatly on the ground, and the reins were like looped on the ground. The horse didn't do that, which I know that I had ghosts there, and they favored the animals. So I know it was on the ghost side of things. But my point being, there's a lot of weird stuff in the woods, and I also believe there's ghosts in the woods. So maybe that had something to do you know, maybe it was some sort of spirit that, you know, folded the clothes or something too. Cause I don't.
First of all, if this was a quote unquote, what I'm talking about earlier, if it was a dog man, a werewolf, they're not going to fold clothes.
No.
Right. Exactly. Why would they do that?
They don't care. They don't care, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Heather has a lot of questions too, Rob.
We'll get to in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
We will. Which leads me to a question though. We can. Hey, Lisa J. Thanks to everybody for coming on in the chat. Appreciate you guys immensely. Since I'm on that topic, thanks really quickly to Amy for a super chat. Virax is a new member, and Larry, thanks for your contributions. Not expected, but always appreciated. So love you guys. Thank you so much. I did want to get back, and you sprung on a question when you mentioned ghosts in the forest.
Mm-hmm.
So Heather, and we get this quite a bit. I've heard this. Chris has heard it. Do you think that sometimes if you're out there and because I believe that we can manifest certain things if we concentrate hard enough. I know that I've done it with certain things, not Dogman. I remember I had to manifest a straight A report card my last year of college to get a 3.2. You know, and I did, and I looked at it on my refrigerator in my dorm room, and I studied it. I looked at it, just like people, they want a Corvette, you put it on your refrigerator. Now I was saying because Brandy said "warsh" the other day. Warsh? Who says warsh?
Everybody around here does.
Do they really? Oh my. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
that's how I was raised to say it
really?
too.
Yeah. Well, I say washing.
I say wash because it was broken out of me, but like my parents say wash.
Well, I say refrigerator, then there's the refrigerator. But anyways, off topic here. But so yeah, I can we call manifest these. We all have that power. We all have intuition. We all have foresight. If you want something bad enough, you can get it.
Right.
So I wonder sometimes these people that are out in the forest and they want to see a Bigfoot so bad or whatever. And Chris and I always talk about intentions, what your thought processes are, your energy you put out into the universe. Do you think that sometimes when people come across these things that they think they see the Bigfoot or whatever, but maybe some of these ghosts or some of these spirits that Krista was talking about, they're manifesting themselves and showing an image of something to trick you, like the tricksters out there. Because I believe that the forests are haunted. In Wexford, Michigan, in Manistee National Forest, there's haunted grounds, there's cursed lands throughout there, and there's so many weird things that go on where I live, 300 miles north of me. I just often wonder sometimes when we talk to these people if, they've seen a Bigfoot all right, but it probably wasn't. It was something else tricking them. What's your thoughts on that? Or any stories on that? Your thoughts. Sorry. I asked 20
Going back to weird things, you're fine. Going back to weird things that have happened here, I think, Lady Ann, we've even had discussions about this, that maybe some of the stuff that has happened here isn't the result of a trickster-like thing. And I think that that's completely possible. I often wonder if things don't manifest in whatever way is easiest to catch your attention at the time for whatever its ultimate purpose was, whether it was to scare you or whatever, like they're going to manifest in this way. And so, or something you can relate to instead of something completely off the wall. There have been things that manifest that make zero sense at all. Like there's a very difficult way to describe it. It just doesn't seem to pan out at all. But
right.
I think that that's completely a plausible thing. We've had, I don't know, just weird things here, which then makes me wonder if you've got tricksters, but then you also have like elemental type situations where something manifests in something that would seem more animalistic or whatever, just because of the nature of what it is, but it isn't an actual Bigfoot. Like I have wondered before if things don't, people are, like you said, people are seeing something that looks like a Bigfoot because it is manifesting like a Bigfoot, but it isn't actually a Bigfoot. Maybe there is the flesh and blood Bigfoot. Maybe this accounts for both things, right? The flesh and blood stories, but then the ones that make zero sense, where somebody's like, I saw it and then it just disappeared. Well, it just disappeared because that wasn't a real one. I can see that as being a possibility.
Yep. And that's how I feel about like mind speak, you know. I don't doubt that people like hear things. I don't. However, you know, like the nasty, the true demonic, they will come to you to get you to trust them, you know, be it kids or grandma, or, you know, if you want to talk to a Bigfoot and they know you're into Bigfoot, which they know everything.
Right.
Why wouldn't they show themselves, you know, come to you as a Bigfoot, you know? So I don't doubt that people are like getting something from them.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know that it's always a Bigfoot. And that's just my opinion. I'm not knocking anybody that does speak, you know, but I just feel like, you know, I've delved into demonology. I've been on a couple really bad cases, and you know, they're tricksters. They, you know, and then you open up to them to let them come through and hear their message. You just opened yourself up, you know?
Well, I had two thoughts. I just lost the first one, but the second one was that when going out like paranormal investigating, things of that nature, if you go in with the mindset that like everything is demonic, then you do tend to get really nasty feedback. And I feel like that's one, because of your intention, but two, if there's anything with intelligence, how much fun would it be to play along with, that's right, I'm a demon, be afraid of me, you know, like that makes that, to me, that makes sense as well. But yeah, I wouldn't ever second guess when somebody said that they had an experience, because even if it was what we're hypothesizing right now, even if it was something like that where it's a ghost, like they still had an experience, right? Ultimately what this comes down to is they still experienced something. What it is, we don't know, but they had an experience that shook them, that changed their perception of reality, that should not have existed if you go by the regular parameters of things. And that isn't, I mean, that's special in itself.
You know, speaking of the regular parameters, and we do have a couple questions we'll get to, like Krista mentioned for you. And kind of one of the reasons why I brought up this about the, you know, manifestation, or maybe it's Bigfoot, but it's a paranormal element or an elemental. Because I came up with this. I was thinking about this theory not too long ago. I think I ran it by Krista. You know, not every time, but we get a lot of these people that say, yeah, Bigfoot appeared from this tree, and then it appears like Bigfoot cloaked, or he turned back into a tree, and the person, then it was gone. So I was thinking just not too long ago, and we always hear these things about cloaking, that it appears, it disappears. Do you think that maybe, and again, total theory, hypothesizing, do you think that the Bigfoot, when you see the Bigfoot, like some people claim and allege, and then it disappears, turns into a tree, do you think that it really doesn't turn into a tree? Do you think it doesn't cloak? But what it does, it has this paranormal or supernatural energy that casts on you, and you're seeing, and it makes you not see it anymore, but it's really standing right in front of you?
I mean, maybe I've heard that hypothesis before.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard things like that.
I thought I had something original here. Okay, go ahead.
No. I mean, I've heard things like that where it has the ability to kind of change what you see, or they do have the ability to cloak right in front of you, kind of thing, because they have a heightened like evolutionary trait or something. I've heard that before, but I don't know. Maybe it could also be that your brain is freaking out.
No, I
just says says, nope, that's just a tree. You're not seeing anything.
Your mind might just erase it.
Yeah.
This says, you know what? You're not seeing this anymore, Rob, Heather.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard people talk about they know that in the moment they saw something really weird, but when they play it back in their mind, it is something different that they see, which then makes me wonder, you know, how much your brain is like trying to protect you from something that you experienced or whatever. You know,
that's a great point. I like that.
I do too.
Hey, Chris, what we got up here for
several questions? Let me go to them. Hold on. All right. First one is a part tour because it's a big thing here.
Uh-oh.
So
Okay.
Virex asked, Heather, in your research and interviews, have you noticed any reoccurring patterns in how different communities culturally interpret cryptid encounters? And do you think these patterns reflect deeper human needs or fears?
Wow.
Okay. So
Put a
I'm
lot
going
in
back. I'm looking at the start thing, so I can go back to the first one.
I put it up
Noticing
for you.
recurring patterns. Thank you. How different communities, cultures, and encounters. So I feel like overall, I'm trying to think of like common threads that I've heard with different communities. There's always with certain ones, like Bigfoot, for example, there seems to be a common thread of you've almost like you've been chosen or you've been lucky enough to have this encounter. It's something that has been bestowed upon you for whatever reason, but it's usually like a positive thing. Not that people haven't had negative encounters with Bigfoot, because they have, but a lot of the times I've heard, well, if you were lucky enough to see, like they let you see them when they're ready, kind of thing. Like I've heard that a lot. But then also we're talking about different patterns as well. When you talk about the monster in the forest, I mean, that is a deeper, in my opinion, a deeper human need to corral people to a safe location, because it's not safe to wander off in the woods at night, especially for young kids. So it makes sense that we would tell these stories to younger children, because they're not going to just listen to "don't go in the woods" because mom said that. So why would mom be right? Tell her about a monster that's going to eat her or something, and then maybe she'll stay in, scared that way. But I don't know. When it comes to certain cryptids, I guess it depends on what the cryptid is, how it's interpreted. But vastly with Bigfoot, I feel like the majority of the time it's been a more of a positive thing. It's something that you've been blessed to see in a way.
Yeah, unless you ask me, but keep going.
Or more welcoming or something like that. That's like, and that's what I mean. Like I've definitely heard the stories where it hasn't been that scenario, but then maybe we're also getting into what is like a spiritual type situation versus a physical type situation, a physical creature. Maybe that's the difference in those. I don't know. But recurring patterns with like Dogman, I honestly can't think of a time where people were like, yeah, I felt better after I encountered Dogman. Like that seems to be recurring. Like it felt evil. It felt like it could kill me at any moment. Like,
oh my God.
There's
yes, absolutely.
That one seems to be pretty standard. And I don't know. I feel like it all comes down to, with any animal that is larger, not that we're not afraid of like snakes and spiders and stuff, because I definitely am, but with animals like this, it shouldn't exist. Like all of a sudden you're in a situation where as a human, you're not the top of the food chain anymore. And I think as a human, just on a basic level, that's terrifying.
Right.
So I don't know.
Awesome. All right. Next question. Let me get to it here. We asked that one, and we asked that one. Sherry asked, Heather, how do you feel about the rumors of the U.S. military used werewolves on special operations to hunt down North Vietnamese? I've heard that too.
So I haven't heard that one. I've heard things about the government utilizing like Dogman, but not like specific cases, because usually, honestly, when it comes to the government utilizing cryptids in any way, I usually don't go down that path for a multitude of reasons. One, if that's true, that's just really irritating. But
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know.
Do you think their government creates some of these things? You don't wish.
You just said she doesn't go down that hole.
Yeah.
I had to bring it up.
He's like, just push it just a little. No, I don't know. It's one of those. I put that in the camp of like I do with a lot of like conspiracy theories, where it's really, I can't. Not saying that it isn't true, because I think that there's some truth to conspiracy theories. It's just that For some reason, my brain, when we get in that realm of stuff, my brain's like, don't even do it. Don't do it. You're going to drive yourself insane. So I don't go that. I don't know.
No, I had to make sure. That's why.
Yeah.
Next question.
No, you're fine.
Is great, I think, because I'm really interested in feral people as well. It says, question: have you encountered or have been warned of feral people in places you have investigated?
So I feel like the only time that I can remember feral people really being mentioned, and it was still minuscule, was whenever we were filming The Ancients, on the Trail of Bigfoot, The Ancients, which was filmed down in North Carolina. There had been kind of discussion of feral people at that moment or at that time, but nothing like, hey, don't go out in the woods because there's feral people.
Yeah.
I've heard people recount that, but we've never personally been warned of, hey, there's feral people over here. We've definitely been warned of, hey, don't go 2 streets over because they don't like people they don't know, or, don't go the next holler over, like things like that. But that has nothing to do with feral people. That's just people not liking outsiders.
Right. Feral people, honestly, I got to say, like, aliens scare me and feral people scare me.
Yeah.
They do. I put them in the same category because they both scare me.
Yeah, I think if an alien gray was at the end of my bed, I would be pretty terrified.
You and me both. Yeah. I don't want no part of that. Or
Dogman, Dogman would terrify me. But Bigfoot sitting down at my kitchen table having some lunch, whatever. I'm going back.
Yeah, okay.
Just kidding.
Okay, last question. Nathan asked, ever run across elves or fae folk?
As far as I know, I have not. I'm trying to think of different things that I've encountered. I mean, I guess it's possible that some of the stuff that I've encountered here at the farm might have been more of a fae realm situation. I'm not putting that out of possibility. But if I have, did you hear that? That was cats fighting outside, in case you just a nice timing of, have you come across anything weird? Yeah. As far as I know, I haven't.
Gotcha. Me either.
I'm okay with that, though.
Not out in the woods. I actually did do a paranormal case, though, that was fae. But
okay, I'm gonna run something by before we close the show about it. I think this was an elemental. Krista's one of favorites. Krista likes when I tell this. It's not a long story at all. I was in this meadow and I was out there screwing around, and it happened to be at a haunted location. We call it Dead Man's Curve. Then it turned into Dead Man's Bridge. It was kind of hot, so I kind of understood this. And all of a sudden, in the middle of this meadow, but I was looking past toward the back of the tree line, and this stick pops up. Okay, Heather. And it's probably, I'm going to say 16 inches, stands straight up. And big deal, sticks pop up. It's dry. It's hot. This is a while back. But I'm looking over it, and all of a sudden, I happen to glance at it, and this stick rose up, and it starts running. Literally, it had like spindly legs and like little arms. It's running. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, middle of the day. And I chase after this thing, me and my friend, and it ran right down into the creek, and it kind of jumped into the creek, literally. And then when it hit the water, it turned like every other stick and every other piece of debris that was floating down the creek. And we're running down the creek as far as we could until it just meshed in with everything else. And I'm thinking, what in the world was this? Now, at the time, I'm not really into what I'm into now, right? I was kind of on the fence with a lot of these things. And then I started looking up things, and I saw there were things called stick bugs, which are like only an inch, and they look like a stick. But if you touch them, they have like little arms and legs. So I'm thinking either now that I'm more adept at what's going on in the world with cryptids and high strangeness, I thought maybe it was just a little baby stick bug at the time that just was abnormal, grew big. But then I started thinking about those, and I looked into the elementals, and I was just wondering what the hell that was. Have you ever heard of anything? And your quick thoughts on that, and then we can get ready to wrap it up.
Yeah, actually, there was a post in the Appalachian Folklore and Cryptids group that I'm in on Facebook just within the last few months where somebody had something similar to that.
Really?
Not far from their house. But with her, like it was she described it as like a stick that did have the arms and the legs, and moved. But like when she saw it, I think she said it froze. Like it was surprised that it was seen kind of situation. I'm not remembering the end of the encounter at the moment, but I do remember asking her for details, and then a friend of mine, Cole Harold, like sketched up. Basically, she said it was a lot like Groot, as far as the way it looks, like baby Groot. So I've heard of like things that should be inanimate objects becoming animated.
Yeah.
And there was someone else, I can't remember. Like her story, if I'm remembering correctly, seems to have almost had like a face to it, where yours doesn't sound like it had necessarily a face. It was just a figure that stood up and ran, right? I know that I've heard at least one other where it was something similar to that, where they had a stick. Oh, it was, your story didn't involve two of them, right? It was just one. Okay. So there was a story that I heard at some point, and I cannot for the life of me remember who told me the story or where they got it, but it was somebody had come up on two of them, similar like sticks, like fighting or playing or whatever. And when they had been seen or realized they had been seen, the one just drops like a stick. And then the other one took off.
Right.
But yeah, I've heard of it. It's not like I've heard a ton of them, but I have heard.
Well, I'm so glad I brought it up, because I normally don't like to bring up my stuff, but I said, well, why not? And well, I'm glad I did, because now I have some sort of.
I mean, we have stick bugs here in Missouri, but they get about.
They're not that. They're not 16 inches.
Yeah, they're not 16 inches. Yeah, they're not giants.
And it was funny because you had made mention that when it was seen in your little encounter, it kind of froze up and was like pretending like it wasn't there, type of thing. And I think mine, it was in a meadow, and it could have maybe stayed frozen when it popped up the first time. But I think it was very nervous and was just wanted to get the hell out of there. And it knew it could get to the creek. Then when he saw my butt chasing down after it, and my friend, he really, put his little spindly legs in motion. And I was just like, not scared. I mean, it was just the craziest, coolest thing I've seen. And as soon as it dropped in that creek, it was like, boom, there it goes, floating away. And I couldn't differentiate it from the rest of the sticks in the creek. So I like telling that little story. It's kind of cool and kind of weird. I'm guessing probably just an oversized stick bug, like they're saying. But then again, we don't know really what it was, do we?
Yeah. But like Amy has a good point here. So she says, all female stick bugs will raise their front two pairs of legs and run on their back legs, but they don't look bipedal. There you go.
Well, that's pretty cool, Amy. Thanks, Amy. Arr, Amy's a first matey. Thanks, Amy.
Amy's great. Yes.
Love Amy. I love everybody in the chat that came on in. Thanks for the super chats and the super stickers from everybody. I appreciate and love you guys. Thank you for that. Heather, thank you for taking time out.
Yes, thank you.
Well, thanks for having me. I always have fun with you guys.
Yes, and I cannot wait to meet you in person. Missed you the first time around, but yes, we'll get you in September 19th and 20th at our conference, Richmond, Missouri, everybody. We've got ghost tours, ghost hunts. We've got it all, plus 20 speakers and special guests. It's going to be an extravaganza. Now we're doing a pre-party on Thursday. It's a full week. Well, it's a 2-day event. Really how long is it?
I'm turning it 3-day because we have the pre-day.
I'm going to be there on Wednesday. Don't start till Friday, for God's sake.
Nathan asked Heather, will you be in Gatlinburg?
No, we're not going to be in Gatlinburg this year, unfortunately.
But Hellbent Holler will be in Gatlinburg.
They will be there.
That's right, they will.
Yeah, thanks
Yep.
Hellbent Holler for popping on in.
Yep.
Good to see them, guys. Good to see all you guys in the chat room. Once again, if you're new, please subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube. The Blinds and the Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube. Of course, Smalltown Monsters. Shout out to Hellbent Holler. Subscribe to them if not already. It appears a lot of hellbenders were in here. But thanks, everybody. Love you all. Today is Tuesday. Krista, what's going on with you Thursday? Anything on your
We
show?
have Sir Brian and Ron Murphy coming on.
Oh, excellent. Two guys that are also going to be at our conference. So double dip on Thursday.
Yep.
Totally awesome. Totally awesome.
Yep. Heather, are you going to be able to come to the Thursday pre-party?
No, because I'm bringing the whole family, and we're not going to leave until the kids get out of school on Thursday, so we only have to miss Friday.
I was going to say, we are kid-friendly, so.
Yeah. Oh, they're coming.
Yep,
I'm
good.
making them.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. And yes, rest in peace, Ozzy.
Yes, I played Ozzy at the beginning of the show. I'm probably going to get dinged, but I can afford to lose the $3 in advertising, I guess, on this one.
Well, Mark just made it up for you.
Yeah, there you go, Mark. Thanks, everybody else. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for coming on and hit that like button on the way out. And again, subscribe if new. Thank you to Heather. Heather, you outside of Smalltown Monsters, you got anything personally you put out there? I know you do some writing. You got anything big projects for yourself going on?
Not at the moment. I think the last thing I got out in publishing was in volume 7 of the Feminine Macabre. I have an article. So I'm in 1, 3, 5, and 7 of those volumes. So you can check those out for different things. This one was about Joan Jeffers, a woman important to the cryptid community, but not nearly talked about enough. So
I'd like to get some notes on that from you and check that out. I'll get the book, I guess.
Absolutely.
I got 50 books that I haven't opened yet. They just sit there.
Same. It's called a research library. That's what I tell myself.
Yeah.
It's important to have them so you can reference them later.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And I haven't, mine's a stack. Mine's like a leaning tower of Pisa. In fact, I'm going to have to straighten it out now that I looked at it. Oh my God. Eve, thanks for becoming a pirate. Awesome. Thank you so much. So thanks, everybody. We're out for it tonight. Once again, thank you to Heather. Awesome seeing you again. Of course, rest in peace, Ozzy. Thanks, Krista, once again for your awesome work. And we will see you next time. Check out Krista, the Blondes and the Booze, Thursday night.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you, Susan, for watching. Oh, yeah.
All righty. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Love you all.
You
Have
all.
a great night. Goodbye.
Bye.
This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks. With an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.
Oh, I did not end the stream. Well, I was late. Hello, everybody. It's